Hello and welcome, or welcome back to my channel. My name is Karen Marie and this is my channel made by Karen Marie. So it is Friday afternoon and I've been to work all of this week. It's my first full week after my holidays and yeah, I'm quite tired. It's always a bit like that the first week back after a holiday. I find, because there are so many little things that are waiting everywhere. So yeah, I've been quite tired this week, but I thought I really wanted to come on here and have a little chat with you about my July makes. So that's what I'm going to do. But I couldn't be bothered to fix myself up or anything, so it is what it is. But I trust that you forgive that. I feel like I say that a lot, but I always film on Friday afternoon and I really can't be bothered to doll myself up. So, we are now a full week into August and that is really, really strange to me because summer just passes so quickly and it's always like that. But I feel like, especially this year, we kind of one moment we're in June and the next we're in August. I barely had time to blink and we're here. So yeah, it's been a really, really busy week, but I really wanted to come on and have a chat with you about what I got made up in July. However, when I started looking at my notes, I sort of thought I must have missed something here because there are only 4 makes here. And I usually have like 6 or 7 things to show you. But then of course I remembered that the first week of July I was in Denmark and then I worked for a couple of weeks and I had some really tight deadlines on a paper and everything. Plus we were in a heat wave and I really didn't have the energy to sew all that much. And now I'm back to work. So I only got 4 things made up in July and 2 of those were gifts. And the other 2, the 2 that I made for myself, they have sort of their own separate videos almost. So I thought that I would combine the July makes with a little bit of a sort of Friday sews just to kind of make a more complete video, and I hope that's okay by you. So the first thing that I made in July was a pair of chinos. They were the Wardrobe by Me men's chinos and I made them for my brother. If you follow my channel on a regular basis, you will know that they didn't fit him in the end. They were too big, too large. Yeah, obviously, it's a bit disappointing when you sew gifts for someone and they don't fit. But on the other hand, I hadn't really got my hopes up too much because sewing trousers for someone else can be quite tricky, and particularly when you don't have them on hand while you're sewing, because whenever I sew for my husband, I can always, just try them on while he's there. But I didn't really have access to my brother like that, so I had to just risk it, and they were too big. But they do fit my husband quite well. They are quite large on him too. So the next time I make them for him, I will size down one size. But I just wanted to kind of share a couple of things about them. The Wardrobe by Me chinos are a fairly straightforward sew, I would say. The instructions are good, and even though there are quite a few like pattern pieces you have to cut out because there are like 2 different pocket facings and all of that jazz, they are quite straightforward to sew. I would say that the only kind of tricky bit is the welt pockets on the back, and I didn't put those in for this pair because I was so unsure about the sizing. I thought that I couldn't be bothered to put a lot of work into it and getting the welts really nice and everything on the back, as long as I didn't know whether or not they would fit my brother. There is a sew along for the trousers, But what I found most helpful was Whitney from Tomcat Stitchery. She has sort of, it's not a sew along, but it's sort of sew with me kind of video, where she sort of takes you with her down to her sewing room while she sews them up for her son. But she kind of has quite detailed instructions on how she does the welts and the zip. She did the zip in a different way from the instructions, if I remember correctly, and I did them the same way that Whitney does it, because I like her version better. So the only notes that I got from my husband on this, when I asked how he liked the fit, he wasn't really bothered that it was a little too big on the waist, because he nearly always uses belts anyway. But they are really quite wide-legged. So he was a little, you know, he said I almost look a little bit pear-shaped in them, because they are quite wide over the hips, and the leg shape is just a little bit too wide for the fabric that I chose. It might be different in a heavier fabric, but I used sort of a wool suiting, so that might have something to do with it. The other thing that he said is that he would prefer it if the pockets were a little bit deeper and narrower, because, well, I don't know how men do it, but they keep putting their mobile phones in the front pockets of their trousers. I don't know, you know, but and he found that it sort of twists so that it sort of lies horizontally in his pocket, because the pocket is very wide. So if I am to make him another pair, he suggested that I might take in the width of the trouser leg a little bit and narrow the pocket, and maybe deepen the pocket just a little bit, so that he can place his phone more comfortably in the front of the pockets. I also made a pair of trousers for myself, which is always easier. And I made the Friday Pattern Company Flaneur trousers as a part of a collaboration with the lovely Rebecca. And I have a separate video on that make, so I won't, you know, go into much detail about them now. The only thing that I've done since that video is to let the hem down, because they were sort of ankle flappers. They were a little bit too short on me. So yeah, I just let them down by this much, and this was all I had to go on, and now you can see I've barely had anything to kind of hem. So in a pinch, I'll just let that down too, and just leave them with the overlocker visible. But yeah, these are the Flaneur trousers. I put this label in. It's from Little Rosy Cheeks. It's sort of their Spice Girls tribute. And yeah, this is a cotton twill from Selfmade. Make number 3 is the Lotta dress, the Tilly and the Buttons Lotta. I have made several of these before, and I absolutely love it. It's so simple to sew, except this one. Such a simple pattern, and I think it's a great pattern, because it can sort of, depending on the fabric, it can be a really quite elegant dress and a very like office appropriate dress, but it can also be sort of a party dress if you jazz it up with some, you know, heels and hair and makeup and all of that kind of thing. And yeah, I made it in this viscose from Rainbow Fabrics, and I have spilled coffee on it. I didn't even see it before now. I have talked ad nauseum, I guess, about this project, because it really did not go to plan. And I'll link the video where I talk more about it, so if you're interested, you can go and have a look at it. But it was all me, because I kept making silly mistakes. But in the end product, I really like it. I've worn it several times. I got lots of lovely compliments on it when I wore it for my dad's birthday. All right, so the final make was a gift for my lovely dad. He turned 85 this year, and we were having a big like party for him. So I wanted to make him something. Obviously, he doesn't really need anything these days because, yeah, he has a farm full of stuff, so he doesn't really need anything. So usually when I get him presents, it's like honey and cured ham or whatever, something that will disappear eventually. But this time I really wanted to kind of honor him and make him something homemade as a clothing, because my mum was a fantastic seamstress. So I kind of wanted to make him something for his big day that maybe my mum would have made. So yeah, I decided to make him a shirt, but I wanted to make my dad the Jensen shirt. So I bought him a very 70s cotton, sort of flannelly, thin fabric from my local fabric store, and yeah, he really likes it. I am so pleased that it fits him and that he likes it. And he kept coming back to me and saying, I can't believe you made me a shirt, which is really, really lovely. He's a very sweet man and he deserves a lot of attention, you know, on his big day. So yeah, those were the makes of July. So only 4 makes this month, but I was, you know, busy with other things. So in other news, I've bought some new patterns and I thought I would talk to you about those. So the first pattern that I want to talk to you about is actually one that was released today. And that is the Collins top and dress from Friday Pattern Company. And I generally buy all of Friday Pattern Company patterns because they sort of suit me quite well. So I bought this and it's on a release sale, so you can get 20% off. I don't know how long that will last, but this is the final pattern of 2025 for Friday Pattern Company because Chelsea, who's the owner, is going on maternity leave. So yeah, I really want to support Friday Pattern Company, and yeah, I generally like their patterns. So I bought the Collins top and dress this morning before I headed into work. I think it's a really wearable pattern. It has a shelf bra inside too, and I really like that. I don't really have any patterns with that feature. But I think I really would like to try that, and I could really do with some more vest tops especially, and I really like the neckline of that top. I don't kind of see myself doing the dress version, at least not for now, but I really do like the top, so I think I'm going to focus on that. But that's on sale at the moment. Then I bought something completely different, and a while back I saw this pattern company that was called, please do excuse my French, but I think it's called something like lubies de Cadia or something like that. Is it lubier or lubie? I don't know. As far as I know, something like the whims of Cadia. The owner is called Cadia or Cadia. I don't know how you say it. Cadia, maybe. I spotted the Meryl jumpsuit and I immediately fell in love with it. And it has this really, like, the most interesting thing about it is that it has this kind of pleat detail on the shoulder. So I bought it, and it does come with English instructions, I hope. I'm pretty sure it does. And I just thought it looked so cool. And they also do a sew along for that one. So if you're a visual learner like me, that can be very helpful. But I just fell in love with it. I thought it was so special, and I thought this could be really cool for like work. So yeah, the third pattern and final pattern that I've gotten recently is the Tessuti Bailee shorts. And the Bailee shorts have an elasticated waist, and I don't often go for a fully elasticated waist. I usually go for the flat front and elasticated back, if any. thing, but I was really drawn to this pattern because it has really wide legs, and I'm pear-shaped, which means that the emphasis of my body shape is on the hips and thighs. That's the widest point of my body. So I was kind of drawn to having a pair of like more wide leg shorts. So I'm really excited to be able to sew that up. So other things that I have been up to. I have cut things out. And I have cut out the Wardrobe by Me perfect tunic. There's a lot of Wardrobe by Me lately. I know, it just happened that way. But I have cut out the perfect tunic in this is just the little remnant that I have. This linen cotton blend that I got at Self-Made in Denmark earlier this summer. It's pink with this little like red check in it. And yeah, this was what I had left. So yeah, that went well. And I have cut that out, but I haven't started sewing it yet. I've cut this out as hopefully a wearable toile. And yeah, I hope to be able to make this pattern into a fabric godmother kind of cotton poplin that I have lying around. But I wanted to use a slightly less precious fabric before I cut into that. And yeah, so this is cut out, it's on my sewing table. But the thing is, I got distracted because earlier this week we had a sudden burst of sunshine, and I thought, oh, maybe summer isn't over. And maybe I can get one more pair of shorts in before I have to drag all my winter clothes out again. And this is not finished, but I'm working on it. And these are my strawberry shorts. I have to be careful, lots of pins. Strawberry shorts. And yeah, these are the Dawn jeans by Nielsen. I just used the straight leg version and cut them off at the knees. So at the moment, they're sort of like Bermuda short length. They like go down to the actual knee. But I haven't hemmed them or anything yet. So what I have left to do with this is I need to hem them, and then I need to get the waistband on. But the thing is, and this, show your faults. Be honest. Doesn't always go to plan. As you can probably see, there is no way that waistband is going onto there. So I think there are two things that I made that made this error happen. First of all, I think I took a slightly bigger seam allowance that I cut a little bit, outside of the pattern piece, because I haven't made the Dawns in quite a while. And I was kind of worried that I've put on some weight and everything over the last couple of years. So I thought maybe they wouldn't fit as well. They should fit according to the size and everything, but I'm always afraid that I'll sew something that's too small. So I might have taken just a little bit more. It's not more than like a centimeter, but it's enough that things get a little weird. And the second thing is that I think I took a slightly less of a seam allowance, that I sewed up like with 3/8 of an inch instead of 5/8 of an inch, which is the standard with the pattern. And then I just cut out, I forgot to take that into consideration when I cut the waistband out. So I think that is what have happened here. So what I'm going to do, I'm not going to recut the entire waistband, both editions, because I want to have enough of this fabric to also make a sort of top or vest out of it. I'm thinking the I Am Patterns Hathor vest out of this too. And if I'm to make that happen, I can't cut new waistbands. But what I think I will just do is just make it easy on myself and cut down the middle back, and then just attach a piece in the middle, because are people really going to notice that you have 2 seams on the back? I don't think so. I don't think so. I think I am the one who will notice, and I can live with that. So I'm just going to splice in a little piece on the back and be done with it and be happy with it. Yeah. Okay, so something also arrived for me this week, and that is this little baby from Little Rosy Cheeks. I have been kicking myself ever since March when we were at the Stitch Festival that I didn't get one of these label holders from Little Rosy Cheeks. I have just kept mine in a tin, but because they have been in a tin, I didn't want to kind of pull them out of the actual little label envelope, because then they will all kind of get muddled together. And now I came to the point that I couldn't close the lid on that. So I kind of decided to get one of these from Little Rosy Cheeks. And then I also needed some new labels, because I had used quite a lot of my labels lately. So I got some new labels, and I'm going to show them to you. Sorry about that. So these are the first ones that I got. They are a leopard print. Very unusual for me, but I like the sort of color combination there, that I can make them sew them into something black, for instance. So they say just me made right there. And then I got another delivery of these ones. Today is a good day. I've had them before. I love them. I love the colors. I love the sentiment. I love everything about these. So I got another box of these. And then I got these ones. It's a bit hard to see, but they say me made, and they are like the 3 red, I think, 3, and 3 kind of, well, light gray, sort of gray lavender, something, that says handmade. And they have these little stripes on them too, and I think they're really lovely. I've already put one of the red ones in my new shorts. And yeah, that was it, I think. 1, 2, 3, yes. And then I got a little extra label here that says "So happy." That was all my happy mail, I think. The only other thing that I've received this week is the AO printouts of the Ember dress. And that was 3 sheets because the Ember dress has quite a few like big pattern pieces, and there are lots of variants on that dress. I haven't quite decided on which version to sew up, but it will be sewn up in August, because that's the sort of little project or collaboration that I have going with the lovely Katrina from Create Something Pretty over in Australia. But I've talked about that in another vlog, so yeah. The only other things that I have coming up is that I obviously want to get my Dawn shorts sewn up, and then I need to get sewing on my perfect tunic pattern. I'm very interested to see how that turns out. So fingers crossed that it's going to be lovely, because then I will have a proper pop-over shirt in that style, and I think it's really, really lovely. So yeah, that was it for me today. I wanted to show you the July makes, as well as some things that have been coming in, some things that I'm working on, some new patterns that I've bought, and and so on. So now I'm very curious to hear what you think of my July makes. What do you think of the new patterns that I bought? Have you seen that jumpsuit before? Would you make that? You know, I would love to see more versions of that too. So yeah, please do join in if you want to make a jumpsuit too. So yeah, I am going to love you and leave you for now, let you get on with your weekend. If you haven't already subscribed and would like to, I would love it if you would join my little community here on YouTube, or leave me a little like even if you like this content. But I will be back soon with another video. Until then, take care and I'll see you. Bye.